she's being told X, Y, and Z, and I don't think much of it's sticking. I mean, she just wants to.
It's very important to pursue your passions, and if you're doing that, the risks are often not as great as they seem to be. So for me, when I thought about, leaving
sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung support.
The gut-wrenching reality behind Alex Eala's breakdown has finally surfaced, and the bombshell.
And what her coach exposed changes everything. Just moments ago,
since the globe fell silent watching Alexandra Eala, the shining beacon of Philippine
tennis and the hope of millions, sat before a wall of cameras,
begging forgiveness from a country she felt she'd let down.
Called herself a disappointment, a national hero breaking down in real time.
Our very eyes. However, every assumption you hold about that showdown is completely off base. Scarcely had Alex exited.
Minutes after Alex left the room, the doors opened again, and the real story
emerged, a revelation so agonizing yet so valiant
defines the entire moment. Alex Eala didn't lose because she wasn't.
The suffocating weight of the moment crush her spirit. She fell while waging a war invisible to the naked eye.
Fighting a battle no one else could see. What her coach revealed will break your heart.
Pride. Here is the saga of the Philippine Women's Open, a loss that defies the definition of defeat. And
the defeat that wasn't truly a defeat, and the real truth behind.
To fully grasp the magnitude of what transpired just 30 minutes ago, we must turn back the clock and set the scene. For this wasn't merely some obscure.
We have to rewind and set the stage, because this wasn't just another ITF event.
Marking the inaugural arrival of the WTA
time in history, the WTA 125 Tour had landed on Filipino soil. 4 years.
Home as a child to hone her craft at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain, capturing
grinding through the rankings,
juniors title,
breaking into the top 50,
and transforming into a lighthouse for a nation starving for a tennis legend of their own.
So when it was announced she would finally play a professional tournament,
it wasn't just massive, it was crushing. Pass. Evaporated in a heartbeat.
Vanished in minutes. The Rizal Memorial Tennis Center became a cauldron, packed
and a mob awaiting a coronation.
The story was written before the first ball was struck. The Queen had
that Colombian juggernaut, a
former top Camila Osorio, the Colombian powerhouse, a former top 35 player, a
warfare and refusal to bow down, wasn't visiting Manila for a vacation.
Wasn't in Manila to be a tourist. She came to win. And
concealed within Eala's inner circle, beneath the smiles and curated media statements,
something was wrong, very wrong. We began to see it in the second round.
Began to emerge in round 2. A tiny falter between rallies, a split-second hesitation before launching off her left leg.
Foot. At the time, it was brushed aside as nerves or stiffness.
She is young, we rationalized. She will bounce back. However, nearing the final 8, it became undeniable that this was no fluke. As the quarterfinals drew near, murmurs in the locker room intensified. All was not well with the
it became clear this was no coincidence, as the quarterfinals
the situation was. Play commenced in the sweltering Manila furnace, the atmosphere heavy with humidity and
the
hope.
golden girl of Philippine tennis,
her name reverberating through the stands,
and the
every
world
present
was about to
a homegrown hero lifting the prize on native soil.
Onto the court. The roar was deafening, her name echoing through the stadium as every Filipino in attendance believed they were witnessing history.
In the armor. She relentlessly yanked Alex across the baseline, alternating between brutal, heavy hitters.
The script unraveled. Camila Osorio is a predator, and the moment she sensed weakness,
you could see it immediately. Alex was lagging behind the pace.
Up and pivot again and again. Alex looked a step slow. The explosive first move,
typically pinpoint accurate, kept drifting agonizingly out of bounds. Fans screamed.
Usually a laser began sailing wide by inches. The crowd tried to will her forward, erupting with every point she won, but the pain was written all over her.
This wasn't about the scoreboard. Her body was screaming at her. Discomfort quickly spiraled into undeniable torture. Dropping the opening set 6-4,
the pain soon turned into visible agony. In the first set, which
glancing at her coaches, eyes filled
moments when she looked up at her box, not in frustration, but in desperation.
Push past limits that biology simply wouldn't allow. Osorio was ruthless.
Through something that felt medically impossible. Osorio showed no mercy, driving ball after ball deep into the corners, forcing Alex to chase and
on that compromised leg over and over. A cold realization washed over the home crowd. This was turning into a nightmare scenario.
Filipino watching this wasn't supposed to happen. Not here. Not now. Not in.
The game is brutal. It has zero interest in happy endings or heroic scripts. The only thing
narratives or fairy tales. It only rewards who can strike the ball better.
Even so, the second frame turned into a gritty slugfest. Trailing behind and
facing a superior opponent on the day, Alex thought, my God, did she fight?
Unleashing a level of heart that only the greats possess. Lord, did she battle. When she cracked Osorio's service game,
and the stadium erupted. Hope came rushing back like a tidal wave as she...
Suddenly, the unthinkable seemed within reach. We briefly fooled ourselves into thinking
the impossible might still happen. For a fleeting moment, we believed the miracle was still possible, that sheer willpower might be enough. But then came the...
hit hard at 4-all. She dashed toward another short ball.
Dozens Osorio had used to stretch her all match. She planted her foot to change.
She didn't hit the deck, but she turned into a statue. A mask of absolute torment twisted her feet.
She froze. A grimace of pure agony crossed her face, visible even...
Her body had finally quit on her. Something snapped. The point slipped away.
Lost the point, then the game,
minutes later,
and minutes later, despite saving match point.
For a comeback. The curtains closed 6-4.
6-4. Camila Osorio moved on, and the dream died right there. The silence that...
leaving behind a quiet so heavy it was ghostly. It wasn't just a letdown. It was a stunner.
Anticlimactic, almost as if Alex hadn't given everything, and confusion spread.
Bewilderment rippled through the exiting crowd, leaving fans crying, fuming, and shaking their heads.
How could the moment we'd all been waiting for end like this? And
that very question turned the following 30 minutes into a heart.
None of us knew. What no one could have known was that Alex Eala had just played
of her career. Maybe not on the scoreboard, but in terms of raw,
it was pure, unadulterated courage. 30 minutes later, Alex Eala walked into the press room wearing her national team jacket, yet somehow
appearing more fragile than ever
ears still visible despite the makeup team's best efforts. She sat
through whatever fix-up job her team had attempted.
Pleaded. She broke.
And crumbled before
the quote is already spreading around the world,
but the video itself destroys you. Choking back sobs, she confessed she felt she had
people who had always supported her. She said she had let down her country.
Picture that burden crushing a 20-year-old kid. She refused to blame anyone else. She didn't hide behind a single excuse.
Point fingers. She didn't offer excuses. She took full responsibility
that day. She had been desperate to deliver
everything she had, but on that day, it wasn't enough. She wanted to give her people.
Not once did she bring up the scorching temperature.
She never mentioned the heat, the court, or the officiating. Instead,
she absorbed every ounce of the blame, letting the globe assume the pressure cracked her, that the spotlight was just too blinding. In that
pressure, the stage was too big for her. In that moment, Alexandra
Eala torched her own reputation to shield the tournament organizers, the sponsors,
her team, even her opponent. She would rather be seen as...
She chose to wear the label of frailty rather than expose the brutal reality of the situation. It took mere minutes
media exploded as critics and armchair experts who had never held a racket
started typing. They branded her a hype job. They tagged her as mentally brittle, claiming she crumbled the second
mentally weak. They said she couldn't handle the pressure.
Vitriol was instantaneous and acidic. The very crowds chanting her name an hour prior were now shredding her reputation.
An hour earlier, were now tearing her apart, twisting her apology into
an admission of incompetence, citing her tears as evidence that she didn't belong in the major leagues.
Big stage. But while Alex was breaking down on live television,
her coaching team stood like statues in the shadows. Visualize this scene for a second.
Her head coach, face flushed with emotion, fists clenched, shaking his head.
He had officially hit his breaking point. He refused to stand idly.
His warrior fall on her sword to protect a secret. He had
fell on her own sword to keep a secret buried. He had sworn to her that he would keep his mouth shut. He gave his word.
Destroy herself in front of the world was unbearable, as Alex was escorted out of
the stage was simply agonizing. As security guided a sobbing Alex from the podium,
he grabbed the microphone and dropped a bombshell that would turn the
truth bomb that would flip the tennis universe on its head. What he unveiled
shattered everything we thought we knew about that match, about Alex Eala, and about
that match, about Alex, and about the true definition of a champion. The press room had already started.
Journalists were already closing their laptops, mentally writing.
Eala's pressure cooker collapsed when the coach's voice boomed across the hall. He ordered everyone to take a seat.
Thunder through the room. He told everyone to sit down.
If they were
no one was
for a story, he was about to hand them the real scoop. His fury wasn't directed at Alex.
He wasn't angry at Alex, he was angry for her. He said he had just heard her.
listened to her claim she failed the nation, listened to her shoulder the entire burden. Then he stopped, locked eyes with
Then
the
he
camera lens,
paused,
and unleashed a statement
stared
that would send
straight into the
shockwaves through
camera,
sport.
and
What she
delivered
neglected to
word.
mention, he continued, and what she explicitly banned us from breathing a word about, is that she
Said
had
what
no
she
business
explicitly
walking that
forbade
day.
us from
Never
telling
mind
anyone
competing in
is that she
professional tennis. The room went dead silent before a collective gasp. Reporters scrambled
The room
to flip their
gasped.
laptops
Reporters
back
scrambled to
open.
reopen laptops.
Recorders flipped back to life. Every camera lens whipped around to focus squarely on him. Then he dropped the truth. 3 days prior, during a practice session,
3 days
Alex
earlier in
sustained a grade 2
practice,
tear in her
Alex
ankle.
had suffered a grade
Medical team
2
ordered her
tear
to pull
in
out. I told her to pull out. Her family pleaded with her to quit.
to
The
withdraw.
MRI
Her
results
family
were
begged her
conclusive.
to
Her
withdraw.
ankle had ballooned to double
MRI
its
scans
natural
were
size.
done. Her
She spent
ankle
6 hours daily in the physio room just to physically force a shoe onto her foot.
physio
The
room
agony was
just to
blinding.
be able to
Most
put a
everyday
shoe
folks would have been
on.
hobbling on crutches.
The pain
coach,
was
however, just lifted his
excruciating.
smartphone toward the
Any
lens.
normal
The
person
picture on the screen had been snapped only a few hours before the first serve. Alex's ankle was a mess of deep purples and blacks.
Alex's ankle was
Strapped
black and
tight,
blue,
honestly
heavily taped,
stomach-churning
brutal
look
to
at.
even look at.
The puffiness was impossible to miss. It looked absolutely gnarly. Doctors reviewing the footage later called it insanity.
Professionals watching
Playing on a
later
joint
said
like
that playing
was
on an
ill-advised
ankle like
at
that
best,
was
and a career-ending gamble at worst. The danger of snapping that grade 2 tear
Turning
into a full-blown rupture was
a
massive.
grade 2 tear
She wouldn't hear a
into
word
a
about
complete
quitting. The
rupture
coach kept
was
talking,
enormous.
his own eyes beginning to
But
well up
she
with emotion. He recalled, Alex looked me dead in the eye and said, her people were
bought
out there.
tickets.
They paid for those seats.
They were
They were waiting for
waiting.
Walking
She
away
would
wasn't an
not
option.
quit.
She told me she'd crawl
If she had to,
She needed pain shots just to limp out of the
then
tunnel.
fought through 2
Then
hours
went
of
to war for 2
high-intensity
solid
tennis
hours
against a
beast like Camila Osorio, basically hopping on one foot the whole time. The media room went dead quiet. You could hear a pin
fell
drop
into
in
absolute
there.
silence. You could hear
Then
a pin drop.
coach's
Then the coach's
broke,
voice.
rising into a shout. She didn't lose because she was soft, he roared, pounding his fist on the desk.
Shouted, slamming his hand on the table. She lost because her body.
Step, but her heart, her spirit remained untouched. That apology she gave the
That
crowd,
apology the
he
world
claimed,
just heard,
was the
he
most
said,
selfless
was the
thing
most
he'd ever
selfless
seen in
act
his
he had witnessed.
entire career on the sidelines. She shouldered the burden because she refused to make anyone fret.
Anyone to
Refused
worry.
use the injury as a
Didn't want to
shield,
hide
and didn't
behind
want
an
to punish the
injury.
event.
Didn't
She
want
is
to
not a failure, he stated with absolute conviction. She is the grittiest warrior he has ever trained.
toughest
in his
athlete
life.
he has ever coached in his
Really
entire
let that
life.
sink in.
Let that sink in.
While the pundits were picking apart her backhand errors and doubting her head game,
Alexandra Eala was
out
competing
there
with a
battling
grade 2 ligament tear, an
shred.
injury that feels like
equivalent to marching on shattered glass, like a dagger twisting in your joint with every single
push
step.
off.
The
The
agony
pain
makes you
is
see
blinding,
stars. It makes you want to
nauseating.
throw up. It takes over everything. Each return shot forced her to put weight on that mangled foot.
Every serve sent shockwaves through a compromised limb, and yet she never
and didn't fish for pity. She clamped down on
her mouth guard and played.
grinded.
She chased balls she had
ran
no
down
right to
shots she
reach.
had no business getting to. She scraped for every single point because she knew exactly what this tournament represented
meant to the Philippines,
to the parents who
to the
scraped
families
fees
who
for
saved for
to young
tickets,
girls clutching signs with her face on them, to the crowd that waited decades to witness
the
pro
elite
tennis in the
women's
backyard.
tennis on
She
home
knew going
soil.
out would crush their
She knew
spirits.
withdrawing
So,
would break
she decided to shatter her own body instead. Now the whole narrative flips. Those missed shots weren't mistakes.
everything
The ones
about
she
that
hit were
match
miracles.
changes.
The fact
Those
she even
weren't
touched the
errors.
ball is
They were
insane. That 6-4, 6-4 scoreline isn't a loss. It stands as proof of supernatural talent and willpower. Dragging a top 100 player like Camila
Taking a
Osorio,
top
a woman
100
who
player
takes down
like
top 20,
Camila
giants in
Osorio,
battles on Grand Slam
someone who
courts
has
into a tight
beaten
match
top
standing on
20
one leg is absolute world-class stuff. It's the stuff of legends.
essentially one leg
Even
is world class.
Osorio realized
It's
what was
legendary.
happening.
Even
At the
Osorio
handshake,
knew it.
She gripped Alex's hand tight, acknowledging the limp, calling her insane for staying out there,
Calling
and
her
giving
crazy
props.
for playing
During
and
her
offering her
presser
respect.
afterward,
In her
Osorio softly praised Alex as a fierce warrior, predicting she'd reign as a champion for years to come. And that is a fact.
She would be
The
a
tennis
champion
world is
for a long
watching and
time.
waiting.
And that's the
major
truth.
arenas are calling
The
her
tennis
name.
world.
Fate is merely biding its time. There will come a moment when Alex Eala unlocks every ounce of her
When
massive
Alex
potential. We won't
Eala
remember Manila as a
reaches
defeat, but
everything
rather as
she's
the force that
capable
tempered a
of,
legend.
we'll
While we
look
await the
back
medical
on
reports and
Manila and
rehabilitation timeline, the moral of this tale is already crystal clear. Forget the
unfolding
scoreboard.
with medical updates and recovery ahead. But the narrative is all
masterclass in grit. But now, we have to open up a controversial debate. Did the coach make the right call by
Eala shows us what a real champion looks like. Now the debate
or should he have shielded her medical history, even at the cost of unfair criticism?
privacy, even if it meant unfair judgment. Was Alex brave or reckless?
It is a gray area with no simple verdict. Jump into the comments and let your voice be heard. We are witnessing a collision of
This is one of those moments where heroism and sacrifice collide, and the
if you are craving the deep dives that the big networks gloss over,
mainstream media misses, this is the channel you need to be subscribed to.
We don't just stare at the screen. We live and breathe every single point. Anyone can read a scoreboard.
We don't just report the score, we tell the story behind the score.
We go
We dig
underground. We aren't afraid to grill the tough topics to serve you the raw reality. Smash that thumbs up if you have mad respect for the heart Eala showed out there.
like button if you respect Alex Eala's story, if you believe she's the type of athlete this sport needs more of. And if this story moved you or made you
obliterate that subscribe link and toggle the notification chime
so you don't miss our updates on her injury and recovery. We'll bring you
from her camp when we can get it, and heavy breakdowns on how this event
analysis
shapes her
on what
future
this
path.
moment means for her
Blast this.
career going
Clip to
forward.
every racket
Share this
swinging
video
enthusiast in your circle. Every Filipino patriot who deserves to
story,
witness this
and with
narrative.
anyone who needs a reminder
Anyone
of
who
what
needs a
real
fresh
courage
example
looks
of
like.
True grit in action. This legend warrants the spotlight
And will be remembered for
demands
years to
attention,
come.
and will
From all of
echo
us
in the
at Cortiva
halls of
Tennis.
history for decades. On behalf of the entire crew here at Cortiva Tennis, massive thanks for tuning in.
Part of this
for giving
community.
a damn,
We'll
and
see
for
you in
riding
the
with
next
our
video
sport.
with more
Catch you in
updates,
the
more
upcoming upload for further news, deeper breakdowns, and hidden gems from the tour that no one else is covering.
you won't find
Punching
anywhere
above the weight
else.
class is definitely
I think overachieving is a thing, you know, as they say, you know, dream big. I think that we had the potential to.
Alex, after a terrific year last year, how does it feel to be making your main draw debut at Melbourne?
It feels great. I'm super excited. Kamusta mga kapong Pinoy?